Hi, everybody. So I thought it would be fun if I did. I thought it would be fun if I did a little live stream to report on my experience of Salt Lake City Comic Con day one, kind of like what I did with D23 each day. And so I have the chat room open. So if you have any questions or comments, then put it in the chat room, and I will answer any of your questions. And so let's talk about Salt Lake City Comic Con day one. And first, as you can see, I did cosplay this time, and I have my Elsa dress and my Elsa wig. And I was really excited because this wig, I'd had problems with the Elsa wigs that have the braid already formed because my head is larger than average. You could just see my roots so clearly. And so what I had to do is I actually finally bought a silver wig, and then I added a very loose braid in, and it looks so much better than the other wigs. And I'm definitely ready to get it off and be done with it because I'm a little tired of wearing a wig all day. But it was really fun. I put some sparkles on my eyes, and then also in my cheeks. I don't know if you can see it all, but it was fun to do. And originally I had pink lipstick, and I had some blush. So it was real fun to kind of feel really pretty and sparkling. And my dress, and I actually have a shirt underneath this dress because this is like sheer, and I like to be modest. And so this is all another shirt, which I was really proud because I just feel like you wouldn't even know if I didn't tell you. Like, it just looks seamless. And so that made me happy that I could be modest and also look, it wouldn't take anything away from the cosplay. So that made me happy. And I got this dress. I had it made for me by a person on Etsy. They're no longer, the shop isn't no longer, it was like from Hong Kong or something. So it was a really good price. And you know, it's just nice to have something that fits me really well. It was all measured, and I love it. And I love you know, cosplaying as Elsa. I got lots of compliments, people asking to take their picture with me and stuff like that, which was really fun. It was very empowering, very fun. The dress, you can't see it, but it has like a really long train that has sequins all the way through it, and it has stars, and so it's really fun. And so, hey, you guys, it's so fun to have some people. So yeah, it has this long train. I keep stepping on it, but it was just fun. Feel really beautiful. And tomorrow I am going to be going as Ariel. My costume is not nearly as good for Ariel. I just kind of ran out of time, but it'll still be fun. And I do have a great red hair wig that I'm gonna wear. And tomorrow I get to meet Jodie Benson, which I'm so excited. Gonna have my picture taken with her. That would be awesome. And so anyway, I'm really looking forward to that. And tomorrow Dick Van Dyke is gonna be on, so I'm really looking forward to that. So that would be really cool to hear from him. And so today it was really fun to go and cosplay. Thanks, Brooks. And yeah, I get to meet Jodie Benson tomorrow, and I think I might cry when I see her. I'll be like, what? But yeah, this is her first con that she's ever done, is Salt Lake Comic Con, which is so cool. So anyway, yeah, Salt Lake Comic Con is actually like legit. Like, they get big name people. They've gotten William Shatner, Mark Hamill. They've gotten just tons of big names. And they got Chris Evans. Yeah, and so tomorrow is gonna be Dick Van Dyke, which is gonna be really cool. And and so anyway, Uh, yeah, she was at D23, but she didn't do like photo ops and stuff, as far as I know. And but she's never done a Comic Con before, because that's what she said on her Twitter, was this was her first con that she ever done. So I don't know. And so anyway, it was really cool, and it was so fun to see all the different other people in cosplay and to get to talk to people. It was just really good. So, but I spent most of the day in panels. I actually didn't even go on the vendor floor at all. There's a big vendor floor at SLC like Comic Con where you can get all kinds of stuff. And I'll probably maybe even wait until Saturday at the very end to do that, because you definitely want to go early, because you end up carrying around all this stuff all day, which is very annoying. And you know, I don't know, like the stuff that I want is not stuff that's going to like sell out fast. Like I'll definitely go to some of the poster people and get a whole bunch of posters for my videos and backdrops and stuff. And maybe look at some of the Funko Pop people and get some Funkos, stuff like that. Maybe look for some comics for, because now I've gotten to the point where I usually read up on the comics before the comic book movie comes out. I've just found it's like a more fun experience. And so I'll read up on Thor Ragnarok is my plan, and also on Justice League. And that will be a lot of fun. I just find it makes it a more fun experience. So anyway, but and then I will be Snow White on Saturday. So kind of a test run for my Halloween costume. So that'll be fun. Anyway, it's just enjoyable. But today, like I said, I was in panels most of the day. And I started out with it was kind of cool, because I realized that, like, you know, some people just have like one fandom, which is totally cool. You know, like you'll just be super into Disney, super into Star Trek, Star Wars, whatever, and that's totally cool. But I kind of realized that, like, I'm a really like diverse person, and that I have like lots of interests and lots of things I like, not just one thing. Obviously Disney is the biggest thing that I like, but anyway, and so the first panel I went to was the science of Star Trek, and it actually ended up being kind of boring, but they had some interesting ideas, but they just didn't really present it in kind of a fun, engaging way, so it was sort of boring. But you know, they're kind of going into sort of the core ideas of like warp, like the light speed, and beam me up, you know, and disintegrating, and then regeneration, I guess. Anyway, so they're going to some of the science that if they and how like Star Trek accounts for it with some of the different things in certain episodes and stuff. But it ended up being kind of dry, a little bit boring. So that wasn't all that great. But anyway, so I went to a Star Trek panel, and then I went to the ballroom, and they had sort of the big guest speaker of the day was Michael Rooker from Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, and he's also in The Walking Dead, and who plays Yondu. And he was very funny, and he was very engaging. It was hilarious, because most of the presentation was him answering questions, and I don't think he actually answered a single question. Like, he was so like funny about sort of the way that he would kind of like flirt with people in a way, and would be very, very funny, but hardly ever answer their questions. But there was one really funny thing that they were like, "Why do you always die in all of your movies?" Because I guess he does, and and he was like, "Well, you know, you can't think that dying is the end for all these characters." And so everybody in the whole audience was like, "Ooh." And so, you know, sort of like, ooh, is Yondu going to come back some way, somehow? Like, what is going on? So I don't know how that would happen with the plot of Guardians Volume 2, but I wouldn't put it beyond him, because like so far everybody that's died in Marvel hasn't really died. You got Agent Coulson, you have Loki, you had all these characters that die that don't really die. You had oh my gosh, my brain. Samuel L. Jackson's character. I can't think of the name all of a sudden. But anyway, Nick Fury, he dies, but then he comes back to life. So it's just really funny. But anyway, so that was very enjoyable. So that was sort of Marvel mostly is what he was talking about most of that panel. He talked about like it takes him, I guess, almost 4 hours to get in the Yondu makeup. And But mostly it was just him being super goofy and funny. So and so that was the second panel. And then the third panel, I went to it almost more just, I felt like I almost had to sort of represent Disney. And I was hoping it would be more of a discussion. It was on Disney cultural appropriation. And it was sort of weird because it was basically like these 4 women who were just complaining about the way that cultures are portrayed in Disney films. And even like Moana evidently like was offensive in all these ways. And because it was like, I don't know. They all had something with all of them. And the thing I guess that I thought was weird is that how do you have a panel on cultural appropriation and not have a single person from like diversity? You know what I mean? Like if you're going to talk about cultural appropriation, like you should have people that are different races and different whatever. And there was one lady who was like, I'm blonde and white, but I actually have Polynesian ancestry, so I guess there was that. But I don't know, it just felt sort of weird to me, and not all of the things that they said were correct. Like they made it sound like Disney makes no attempt at all to be like culturally accurate, and they were like some of the things they were saying about Princess and the Frog I actually know is like not true, that they went like out of their way to make that movie to not be offensive. And that's part of the reason why the movie kind of feels sort of convoluted and a little bit safe, because they were so scared of offending people. Like that's the last thing that they wanted to do. They changed her from being a maid. They changed her, like they focus grouped that movie a lot. So it was definitely not sort of a, like, we don't care at all kind of a thing. And then also like they got a ton of cultural feedback when it came to Moana. They had his name's really hard, but they have the co-composer of the movie is Samoan, and they went to all the effort to like get to like have this obscure Polynesian language in the movie, because they were trying really hard to like go the extra mile and like really try to make like the houses look accurate to Maori, to have the way that the roofs were made and the way that they used the coconuts and all that stuff was all sort of researched and looked at, and they really tried. So Brooke says, I've seen some Pacific Islander folks say the film did a good job, so can't please everyone, I guess. Yeah, exactly. I've talked to many in Hawaii, at least, that love the movie. So I don't know. It just like, I knew it would annoy me, but it annoyed me more than I thought it would. It's just like, I wish I'd had a chance. They were complaining about like how they were complaining about Frozen and how like it didn't have enough like Norwegian culture and stuff. And I know that, first of all, like they were creating in Frozen, they were creating a fictional town. Like it's not like, I think you have much more of a case with Pocahontas, which is actually like a real person who like really existed, whereas like Frozen, and they were complaining that with Moana that they created their own gods instead of using the gods that they have. Like Te Fiti is an actual god, but it's like, the thing is that if they had used the actual gods, then there would be a ton of people who would be like, oh, you didn't do it right. So like you didn't portray them right, you didn't do it right. And it's like, so it's a lose-lose situation. Like you're safer creating your own gods than, and at least then people can't say, well, you didn't do it right. So I don't know. It's a really tough thing. And I think that there certainly are, I'm not one of those people who like lives my head in the sand and pretends that Disney has no like racist things that they've ever done, or like cultural things that are uncomfortable, and I think those things should be discussed. But I think that you have to look at it, and they're not making documentaries, they're making movies with like characters and stories and music that needs to, and so I know they did try to say that like these movies should be jumping off points to then have further discussions. So at least they were acknowledging that, which is good. But I don't know. it was just and they also were wrong. They're like, you can tell that they put so much effort into The Lion King and they didn't put any effort into Pocahontas, when that's actually like not true. That's the opposite of true, because in The Lion King was like totally sort of the B-roll film. Like the Pocahontas got all the big names. It got Alan Menken. It got all the big name animators. Like definitely like Lion King was the sort of the Bad News Bears group, you know, that was just kind of making things up on the fly and trying new things and whatever. And that's probably why it's so good. But there's definitely like, you cannot, it's just not true that like they were more concerned with The Lion King and like worked harder on it than Pocahontas. That's just not true. So anyway, it was an interesting kind of thing. So so yeah, Brooke says it'll be interesting to see how Coco is received in Mexico. I think so too. I hope that it'll be received well. It seemed like the Book of Life was pretty well received. So it'll be interesting to see how Coco is received in comparison to that. So, but anyway, so that was the next panel. And then the last panel that I went to was on Doctor Who, and it was all about the next one I went was Boy Meets World, and it was just a panel of people talking about their favorite episodes and their things, and so that was really fun because I love Boy Meets World. And I also met this like super cute girl who was cosplaying as Esmeralda. And so that was, I'll post a picture on Twitter or whatever, because I didn't get a chance to post it, but she was super sweet and we had a great discussion. And anyway, and so bye. And then the last panel was on Doctor Who that I went to, and it was all about the 13th Doctor and talking about the reactions that people had to her being a woman. And this was actually a really good panel. I really liked every single one of the panelists. I thought that they were engaging and funny. And they had a little girl on the panel who was dressed up in cosplay as the 13th Doctor, which I thought was really fun. And they got sort of her opinion on it. And it was just really solid. They had, I think his name is Sean Maines, I think, they had the TV critic from the Salt Lake Tribune. And so that was really cool. And I was just an interesting group of, I thought, personalities and characters on the people on the panel. They were engaging and funny, and they had a lot of questions in there, which was interesting, talking about, well, what's the companion going to be? How's this going to change the dynamic? What are they going to do? And so it was a very good panel. And I really liked, the funniest thing on the panel was somebody who brought up the question of like, is Doctor Who going to have a purse? I never thought of that in a million years, because it is true that women's clothes tend to have really horrible pockets. They're small, you can't really put stuff in compared to the male clothes. And so that's why you end up having to get a purse, especially because also you have you need time of the month items and other stuff like that you have to carry around. And so it's like, I don't know. I just thought I never thought it occurred to me that, oh, well, Doctor Who might have a purse. So anyway, it was really good. That was a really fun discussion. So that was the end of Comic-Con day 1, and it was really enjoyable. So anyway, that was basically what happened. And so tomorrow is going to be really fun. We are doing, like I said, I get to meet Jodie Benson, and yeah, there's some other good panels. Get to hear from Dick Van Dyke, and so I'll report again tomorrow on my experience. So. And this was like so much more fun than D23, like a million times better. It was just, you didn't have to wait in line like very long. It was just so much less exhausting. So anyway, it's funny how that works sometimes. So let me know if you've been to a con, if you do cosplay, what's some of your most fun cosplay, let me know. And we'll talk again tomorrow. And so thanks for those who joined in the chat. And we'll talk to you all later. Bye.